Some money traps look dangerous. You can spot them from a mile away. Other money traps look normal. That is what makes them powerful. They do not look like traps. They look like adult life. They look like convenience. They look like success. They look like things everyone else is doing. And that is exactly why so many people fall into them. In this video, I'm ranking America's most dangerous money traps. Not the most obvious, not the most dramatic, the most dangerous. The ones that quietly drain your cash flow, kill your flexibility, and make it harder to build wealth. And I want to be clear about something. A money trap is not just something expensive. A money trap is something that feels small, feels normal, or feels justified while doing long-term damage in the background. That is the difference. Because most people do not get into financial trouble from one giant disaster. They get there from a handful of normal decisions that stack on top of each other. So let's rank these properly. I'm going from dangerous to truly brutal. And by the end, you'll probably look at least one part of your own life very differently. Let's start with one that hurts a lot of people, but still does not deserve the top spot. Trap number 7, buy now, pay later. This one is dangerous because it makes spending feel small. That is the whole trick. You are not buying a $300 item. You are buying 4 easy payments. That changes the feeling completely. And once the feeling changes, your discipline usually gets weaker because now your brain says it's only a little bit, but those little bits stack. That is the danger. Buy now, pay later is not always the worst trap because sometimes people do use it carefully. But for a lot of people, it turns normal shopping into layered future spending. You are pulling tomorrow's money into today's wants. And when you do that too often, next month starts already wounded. That is why I rank it here. Not the deadliest trap, but one of the sneakiest. Trap number 6, lifestyle inflation. This one is everywhere. You earn more, so you upgrade everything. Better car, better apartment, better restaurants, better clothes, better subscriptions, better everything. And to be fair, some upgrading is normal. That is not the issue. The issue is when your lifestyle rises as fast as your income, or worse, faster. Now, every raise disappears, every bonus disappears, every financial improvement gets absorbed by a more expensive standard of living. And the scary part is this: lifestyle inflation usually feels like progress. It feels like you are finally enjoying your hard work. And sometimes you are. But if your costs rise every time your income rises, then you are not creating breathing room. You are just building a more expensive cage. That is why this trap is so dangerous. It does not look irresponsible. It looks successful. Trap number 5, minimum payment thinking. This one is bigger than credit cards. It shows up everywhere: car payments, furniture, phones, personal loans, store accounts. People do not ask, what is the total cost? They ask, can I afford the monthly payment? That question has wrecked a lot of wealth because almost anything can be made to look affordable on a monthly basis. Stretch the term, lower the payment, hide the real cost, and suddenly a bad deal feels manageable. That is why minimum payment thinking is so dangerous. It trains you to judge affordability by pressure today instead of cost over time. And that creates a fake version of affordability. You feel fine now, but your future cash flow gets quietly taken apart. That is a trap. Because once you start thinking like this, you stop buying based on value. You start buying based on payment tolerance. And those are not the same thing, not even close. Trap number 4, credit card dependence. Now, let me be careful here. Credit cards are not automatically bad. Used well, they can be useful. But dependence is the problem. The moment your normal life starts relying on credit to stay afloat, you are in dangerous territory. Because that usually means one of two things: your lifestyle is too expensive, or your system is too weak. Maybe both. And once credit becomes the patch, the pressure gets hidden. That is the trap. You do not feel the pain in full right away. You feel relief. Then the statement arrives. Then interest arrives. Then your past groceries, gas, takeout, and random spending are still sitting there, demanding money from your future self. That is why this trap is brutal. It turns temporary pressure into long term drag. And the worst part is that people often use credit cards to defend a lifestyle they already cannot comfortably carry. So the card does not solve the problem, it delays the pain and then adds interest to it. That is why this ranks high, very high. Trap number three, the car payment trap. This one is absolutely lethal to a lot of budgets. And the reason is simple: a car payment does not stay in one lane, it spills into everything. You have the payment, then insurance, then fuel, then maintenance, then repairs, then registration. Sometimes parking too. So what looked like one bill is actually a whole financial ecosystem. And once that ecosystem gets too expensive, it starts stealing room from the rest of your life. Less room to save, less room to invest, less room to recover from setbacks, less room to breathe. That is why the car payment trap is not just about transportation, it is about what transportation costs you in flexibility. A lot of Americans are driving cars that look like progress but function like pressure. And because car payments are so normal, people rarely question them deeply enough. They just ask what payment works. Wrong question. The better question is what this car is going to stop you from doing. That is where the truth usually shows up. Trap number two, housing overreach. This one is very dangerous because housing is emotional. People want safety, comfort, status, a good area, a fresh start, a dream home. Nothing wrong with that. But the trap is when housing becomes too large a percentage of your life. Now your biggest monthly cost is so heavy that everything else becomes fragile. One job problem, stress. One surprise expense, stress. One income drop, panic. That is why housing overreach is brutal. Not because housing is bad, because overcommitting to housing reduces your margin everywhere else. And margin matters a lot. A more expensive home does not just cost more money, it can cost you flexibility. And flexibility is one of the most valuable financial assets a person can have. When housing eats too much of your cash flow, you become easier to trap, easier to pressure, easier to push into debt. That is why this sits near the top. But there is one trap I think is even worse because it sits underneath almost all the others. Trap number one, spending to maintain an identity. This is the most dangerous money trap in America, not because it is one specific bill, because it can infect every category. This is when money stops being about function and starts being about image. Now, you are not buying shoes. You are buying status. You are not buying the car. You are buying proof. You are not buying the apartment. You are buying identity. You are not taking the trip. You are buying a version of yourself. This is the deepest trap because once spending becomes emotional identity work, logic starts losing badly. You can justify almost anything when it supports the image you want to protect. That is why this trap is more dangerous than just debt, more dangerous than just car payments, more dangerous than just lifestyle inflation, because it can create all of them. If your spending is built around proving something, then there will never be a clean stopping point. There is always a higher level, always a nicer version, always a new standard. And that is why some people earn good money and still feel financially weak. They are feeding an identity that keeps getting more expensive. Now, here's the good news. Once you see the trap, it gets weaker because then you can start asking better questions. Do I actually need this? Is this improving my life or just improving the image? Am I buying function? Or am I buying validation? That question alone can save people a shocking amount of money. Now, let me give you the full ranking again. Number 7, buy now, pay later. Number 6, lifestyle inflation. Number 5, minimum payment thinking. Number 4, credit card dependence. Number 3, the car payment trap. Number 2, housing overreach. Number 1, spending to maintain an identity. And notice something, most of these traps do not look extreme. That is the point. They look normal. That is why they win. So, what should you actually do with this? Start with the trap that is most active in your life right now. Not all 7, just one. Find the one that is quietly damaging your flexibility the most. Then attack that first. If it is car payments, deal with that. If it is convenience spending, deal with that. If it is identity spending, deal with that honestly. Because financial progress usually does not come from fixing everything at once. It comes from removing the pressure point that is doing the most damage. And once you remove one trap, the rest of your money tends to breathe better. That is how momentum starts. Here is the main takeaway. The most dangerous money traps in America are not always the ones that look reckless. They are the ones that look normal while quietly stealing your future. That is why awareness matters so much. Because once you can name the trap, you stop treating it like normal life. You start treating it like what it is, a threat to your flexibility, a threat to your wealth, a threat to your peace. And that is when better decisions start. Now watch the next video to learn the hidden way war affects your budget.